Hello, everybody. It's DHTV. Cue the music. DHTV. Yes, we're back, folks, and we're going to be talking dirty. It's going to be an evening where we talk about sex. Sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
I will warn you now, folks, that I am a bit weird this week. Yes, weirder than normal, because I had a pain block on Monday and I'm now not in pain. And I also went out clubbing last night and haven't actually really stopped. So Zec's got the mute button ready if I overdo it. But anyway, we are, as ever, joined by the wonderful Zec Richardson. Say hello, Zec Richardson.
Hello, Zec. Yes, I am here, ready on the mute button, because Mik has warned me. If it's possible that he will be talking even more than usual, and yeah, that's the shock for me, not talking sex. It's the fact that Mik's going to talk more. So, mute button.
Yes. The problem is, you see, is that when you live with chronic pain, you don't know that your body gets used to a certain level of endorphins and kind of stuff. And then it goes, and it went like that. I'm not joking, it was scary and quite annoying. Because after 41 years, I wish someone had tried that a few years earlier. But anyway, so I'm a little bit wobbly. And we're talking about sex. This is going to be so much fun. And if you are easily offended, possibly it might be the show to go. I might fast forward. I might watch it on catch up with my fingers in my ears. It's an important subject, but still, some people go, ooh, about that. Now, we are joined on this fantastic romp through romping with the wonderful Kelly Gordon. Hello, Kelly.
Hello. You okay, everybody?
Yes. Now, Kelly, we've known each other quite a while.
Yes.
And you've always been very sex positive and kind of have gone out and carved a niche in the world, making sure that this whole topic of sex and disability is explored in a way that's just groundbreaking. You do the Pleasure Rebels podcast. You are head of creative, it says here, for the Hot Octopus. I'm going to have to ask you. So, what is head of creative, and what is a hot octopus?
I
love a hot octopus.
Most important question: what is a hot octopus?
Yes.
So, I didn't know the answer to this question until very recently, either at a management meeting. I just thought it was a random name, cool branding, whatever. But actually, it was the password to a rave back in Camden.
Oh.
So
Adam, there you go.
Yeah, Adam, our co-founder, and he creates all the products, and he was really into the 90s Camden rave scene. So that's where Hot Octopus came from.
So it may be that we know each other without knowing each other, because
probably.
Yes, let's face it. I actually was going through a box of CDs the other day and found all my old DJing CDs. And thousands of them. It's like, wow, yes, I was a cheat. Everyone was like, that's not DJing, that's using CDs. But hey. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're not going to be talking about CD DJing tonight. We're going to be talking, about what is it that Hot Octopus does then? What do they do?
So we are a sex tech company. Sex tech because, we're a bit more tech than sort of general sex toys, and we invent everything ourselves. Well, I say we, Adam, that I just mentioned, he is our creator in the lab, thinking of ways to pleasure people, essentially. And then
now,
it's my job to sell it.
Now, at this point, we should mention that Zec himself has quite a few experiences of some of your toys. Now, looking at his face, I can see that he wasn't necessarily chuffed that I've said that. But so, Zec, you've tried a few.
Yeah.
Are they good? Is it something I should be going out?
Zec, better say yes.
Yes, please say yes.
Yes. On the website, we have reviewed quite a few of their products. They're incredible products, but there is one that is particularly powerful. That is for men, which kind of basically two big bullets sit underneath your knob, and then you've got a controller. And I left Mrs. Richardson with the controller, who thought it was highly funny. And I think in the review I described it as having my cock stamped on by a load of men. It was, it's powerful. Wow. And she decided to use it to its utmost.
Now, ironically, there are clubs for that kind of thing. So it's good to know that they're trying to find all markets.
I'll send her there.
Whatever you're into. Yeah, seriously, like there's some of the products I've tried recently, because we have a BDSM area on our site as well, which I'm currently trying to populate even more with products that are already out there. And I got sent it's called an electric Eric. And it's basically a vibrator with electric power as well as vibration. So I thought, would that work for the disability market? It's an interesting thing.
As in electrodes?
Yeah, so it like zaps
Shop box.
you.
Yeah. Shop box, yeah.
Oh.
And I was really enjoying it at one point, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to turn it up. God, I regret that. And it's been over here ever since. I've never came back to the bed ever. It was so
it's a rubber cock and a TENS machine all in one.
It's not even rubber. It looks really nice. Like it's really sleek. It's so nice. And yeah, there's like the normal like rumbly vibration part. Then
haven't they got
part.
vibrators now? Vibrators have got such deep rumbles on them where they never used to. They used to be tinny, didn't they? Like a bee in a cigar tube, but now.
Yeah, they're intense, especially now you can charge them up. They're like, rather than the batteries in a bullet never last very long. So yeah, now you can actually USB charge them. They're amazing. Like our ammo's about this big, but it's the most powerful thing ever.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got the Digit, which is like really, really similar as well. So you're used to that.
I feel like I'm left out here. I might have to go online and start shopping because
until you forget to recharge. When you forget when you forget to recharge, though, and you're like, let's have some fun. You're like,
that's really sad. I hate it when you do that.
You've got to keep really on top of your recharging schedule. But anyway.
So
let's drop it. HotOctopus.com.
So there you go, folks. Go to Hot Octopus, because we're going to be talking a bit about how this can really help disabled people. But also, I want to talk about Pleasure Rebels. Now, I've been on Pleasure Rebels,
You've been
so I know how much fun it is. But tell everyone about that, because of course, people out there looking for new podcasts, that's one to definitely tune in for.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so Pleasure Rebels, it's kind of grown and grown. Like since I started to record, I don't even know how many episodes are out there now. But we started it as a brand podcast just to really explore sex and sexuality. And we do talk disability, but we also talk like a number of other things. Like we've got an episode about kink and BDSM. We've got an episode about periods. We've got an episode about, I'm just trying to think of them all off the top of my head, dating tips, swingers, like it's everything is covered pretty much. So it's really fun for me to record it as well, because honestly every week I learn something new, and I also think, I might try that.
I love the idea of doing a podcast, and it's like going to school.
Yeah, it so is, but it's so fun. And also everybody talks about their worst and best sex every week, so that's really fun to get that insight into people's lives and figure out what they've been doing in the bedroom as well.
There you go, Zec. Shall we start adding that at the end after top tips?
Probably
not. What's your best and worst? Before we go, what's your best and worst sexual experience?
Some people do say no to it, and they don't want to do it, but it's fair enough. But when they do say yes and they give me all the juicy gossip, I absolutely love it.
So you've done quite. I mean, it is a varied thing. What I love about what you do is that it does educate, and it kind of educates without flinching, which is really important, I think. Is that does that drive everything you do, just being upfront and honest about everything?
Definitely. Honestly, like it's been such a journey for me as a disabled person and a business person, because those worlds don't normally connect. Like when it's about sex and disability and being a bit alternative and being yourself, and I always used to hide that and think, if I want to be successful, or I want to be on TV, or I want to be whatever you want to be, you need to tone yourself down. And it wasn't until I actually thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to tell people about my life and my experiences, that I really started to gain traction and like reach out to people and have people message me, asking me questions, and being involved with this amazing brand. Like it's been brilliant, and to be able to work every day as yourself is great. Like you can't beat it, can you?
No, it's funny because doing my equality thing, when I was a TV presenter, I didn't care. I just like whatever I liked and saw them. But then when I went into doing like proper sensible things and trying to make a better world, I started dressing normally. Well, as normal as I can. I thought I looked
I can't
normal. No one
imagine
else did.
that.
And then I realised I was doing lectures on diversity and inclusion, not being true to myself. So
Yeah.
hence the hair went, and I went back to being me. And now I feel much happier. And I think because I've always been talking about this disability and sex thing. I think the first thing I did about it was a documentary on Channel 4, which you can find on YouTube because I uploaded
Oh,
it.
wow.
And you watch it and go,
Please.
wow, wasn't television slow? Because it's like TV at half speed. But, you know, that was filmed in 1989. It was shown in 1990. And it was like, ooh, and it taboo. And yet it's still taboo today.
Mick, I was born in 1989.
Exactly. There you go. I was interviewing a woman about how she'd got a local carpenter to make her a vibrator on a stick.
Wow.
Right.
So awesome.
In 1989. So there we go. We both had very different experiences of 1989.
Yeah, definitely.
But why is it? Why? I don't understand why it is that so many years later, whenever you say disability and sex, most people don't put the two, even think they go together. What is it? Why? I don't get it.
I have no idea why it takes so long, and I have no idea why we're still like. I mean, even I have been talking about this in the media. I mean, Mick, you and I did the Victoria Derbyshire show like a couple of years back, and we've been talking about it long before then.
Well, I've been talking about it as long as you've been alive, so that's quite terrifying.
Exactly. So I just don't get it. I don't understand why. I don't understand no matter how much you say it and talk about it and expose people to it, it seems to be the same blocker, that, it doesn't happen, or if it does happen, it's completely different to able-bodied sex.
Yeah, yes. And the thing that I always think that there's this, I don't know how much it's like their fault and how much it's our fault. Because we've talked about this, that whenever you talk to someone that disabled, they're like, oh, I had a really hard time meeting someone, and people don't think I'm sexy, and yet that's, I know that's not your experience. It's not really been my experience. And also, I know loads of people that think people don't fancy them, and then they do.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is it? What do we do to disabled people that makes them stop thinking that they're sexy?
I have no idea, or worrying about, I've had a lot of friends that it's what in their head. Yeah, it's in their head.
In their head.
Yeah. But I've had tons of friends that, they've thought, relationship, especially male, sort of cis-het men, they've thought, relationship will be too hard. It's too much to ask for someone. And where do you get that from? Because in any relationship, there's give and take, regardless of ability. Anyone could become disabled tomorrow. Does that mean that you completely split up with that person and bugger off because they need a bit of extra help? It makes no sense to me, because if you love someone or even fancy someone, you want to get with them no matter what. You don't really care if you've got to lift their legs onto the bed or put them on a hoist or, whatever.
Well,
for me, I'd say growing up, sort of the clubs that I went to, they were so inaccessible. You'd have never met a disabled person. So there wasn't that chance to pull someone who was disabled, like a wheelchair user or what. It was just a different time, wasn't it, Mick? It was like,
I don't know, you see, because I used to crawl in all those clubs, so I would be the lone disabled person there because I'd have crawled up 4 flights of stairs to go raving or dancing or whatever. So, but it's kind of, it's just that thing that we need to break down. One, we need to start teaching kids about this stuff, disabled kids and non-disabled kids, early on. Give them education about how the varied ways that people make love, have sex, whatever, but also teach people to see their own value. And it kind of really, it always upsets me. I remember doing a speech at NADEX, and this is so long ago, and we were talking about spinal cord injury and sexuality. And I'd been talking for about 30 minutes, and I kind of run out of stuff to say. And my wife jumped up on stage and just went, now, girls, let's face it. We don't always just want a hard cock, do we? There's more to sex than that. And all of the women went, yay! And all of the blokes in wheelchairs went, and they all had this face of like, what? You mean I could do other things and not worry about this bit? And it was like, wow, are we really still there?
I know. And I think a huge part of my sexual experience and sort of finding out who I was and gaining confidence was masturbation and experiencing that, and figuring out what kind of pleasure you like, and it gives you that confidence because then that you're a sexual person and that you can do it. Do you know what I mean?
But that's had a whole taboo thing about it, isn't it? Masturbation.
Oh yeah.
Do you do that? Ugh.
Well,
But
even
we
for
all
the
do.
mainstream,
Yeah.
completely. Even like, I've been writing a few articles on behalf of the company recently for magazines like Women in Home, and like people that wouldn't have touched masturbation with a barge pole, like even maybe a year or two ago. So people are waking up to the fact that, sexual pleasure and self-pleasure is good for you. It's good for your body. It's good for your mental health. It is. It's a fact.
I'm just now picturing a WI TED talk.
Oh
That's
yeah.
so ladyish now. Masturbation, we all do it. No, we don't. Well, you should do.
Everybody should do. I mean, if you don't know your own body, then how can you tell somebody else what to do to you, or how can you enjoy pleasure? I know that people, masturbation looks differently for everybody, and people need sometimes more assistance, or people sometimes don't enjoy it, but it's about knowing what you do enjoy and experiencing that. And if it's, just you like, I don't know, something completely unconventional, then it doesn't matter if you enjoy it and it's
whatever
for you to enjoy.
works for you. Whatever
Exactly.
works for you.
Yes, definitely.
Now, of course, dear viewers, you know that you can join us in the comments and ask your questions. You've got Kelly here for the next 30 minutes. So
we're
you
low
can
on
ask
YouTube,
questions,
but we're okay
right?
on Facebook. Viewers are coming in on DH.
Brilliant.
Oh, wow. Are we on
If you've got any
Facebook as
questions,
well?
we're everywhere.
Oh my God.
So ask your questions, and then even afterwards, still leave your comments once we're done, because it's your show too. And this is one of those rare opportunities where you've got someone that really can help, and we don't get the chance to talk about this stuff as much as we should do. And we don't get the chance to talk as freely. And you're safe here. So ask away, please.
Please do. That would be interesting.
I think it's quite important what you said, Mick, about the our first episode was sex, disability, and body positivity, and you brought up then about the whole focus, men, young men. I remember back, it's all about penetration. That's the goal. It's you're focused on that penetration, and we tended to, when we're young, maybe skip a few steps to get there too quick. And so
I still do that sometimes.
When somebody can't, loses the ability to get an erection or can't get an erection, it's massive. As I mentioned this before, soldiers out in Afghanistan, Iraq, when they were hit with an IED, some of the first questions they asked were, have I still got my cock? Forget the legs, have I got the cock?
And it's funny because obviously I do I've known a lot of people with spinal cord injury, and with that kind of injury that you get, and that can affect that. Now, it's really amazing that the number of people, especially men that I meet, that don't talk about it. But I know why they're so messed up. They're not really missing being able to play football and run about. They're worried about that. They're worried about what that means about their manliness and their, can you keep a woman? But also, it's weird because I don't know if either of you have had this, where you're out with your partner and someone will hit on your partner and go, well, you can't be in a happy relationship with them because they're disabled. Do you want to come home with me? I mean, I've actually had men go, oh, come home with me because I'm a real man. And it's like, I don't think so.
That's
mate.
a big turn off, somebody saying that. Wow.
It's not exactly going to work, is it? Oh, well, of course. Thank you so much. I didn't realise.
Finally.
Off on the way home.
Now, I've had that, Mick, mainly at Nadex. Oh my gosh. So Josh was with me, and he was helping me flog our lovely products to everybody. And obviously I was like engaged with so many people because I was doing a talk, and I was talking to a ton of OTs and stuff while I was there, and people that were generally interested about the brand. And there was these women flocking around him like, oh, tell me about this vibrator. And then he's like, oh yeah, my missus loves it. And they were like, oh, okay. Right. I'm not really going to buy anything.
Nadex, you say. Nadex.
Yeah.
So basically, the next Nadex, we're all going with a great big shopping bag.
Honestly, we're going to be there this year again, and we're going to bring our BDSM stuff as well. And we're hoping to welcome our friends at Get Bumping, they're called now, but they used to be called Handy, Andrew Gurza's company. So fingers crossed they'll be able to make the
yes,
journey.
I've heard of Andrew Gurza. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think they're still in the works with flights and all that kind of logistical stuff. But yeah, would love to have them with us. That would be amazing.
See, I always think that people don't appreciate that the term wheelchair bound comes from, obviously, that pastime. You know, it's nothing to do with getting your language wrong. It's to do with whether or not you've been handcuffed to your chair for being a naughty little boy or girl. But anyway, so we're talking about disability and sex. Do you think it's got better? Do you think the society's starting? Do you think the blinkers are starting to fall from the eyes or not?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like at the moment I'm getting asked to do a lot and to talk to a lot of people and like, you know, educate as much as I can when I'm just like this, you know, I am me. I'm just talking about myself and my own experiences. But I hope that it has, and I hope that following that things will change. But I still, like we said at the start of the show, there's still this kind of feeling that disabled people don't have sex, or they do it differently, or you know, I can't take you on a date because you're disabled. Why? Like, what do you think's going to happen?
The other thing, do you think it's because I have problems with this in that, because I used to kind of keep my sex life quiet and just go, yeah, of course I can. Then I felt that it was important to come out and talk about how my body works, because it struck me that if I don't, then people like me that are coming after me won't know how good it can be, and they'll just buy into all the stereotypes. But there's this real pressure on us to share stuff that if we weren't disabled, we wouldn't be sharing. You know, people don't walk down the street talking about erectile dysfunction unless, of course, they're buying pills off the internet. But, you know, it's not, you know, I don't get why it is that we always have to really bare our soul to prove it.
That's true. Like, I've talked about some really dark situations because I want to educate people not to get into the same place that I did. You know, I did so many things that really were probably quite traumatic, but I probably haven't dealt with. But like, even things like when I was a teen, it was sort of the dawn of internet chat and all that kind of stuff. And I'd chat to people using like my picture, as most people do. But then I'd never like disclose my disability, to the point where like I was like a mobile-ish wheelchair user then. I'd like try and fake being like non-disabled because I was so I was taught that disability and traditional dating and sex didn't go hand in hand. And so because of that, I was constantly like felt like a catfish essentially, just because I was disabled. And then I think as soon as I realized that was a bad idea and that I wasn't being myself, and I found out that people actually did still like want to bang me, it changed my life. It really did. But then after that, it was kind of the opposite, because I would go out on these meetups or whatever and put myself in actual dangerous situations where I could have been killed. So,
do you know, it's funny because this is I've spoken to myself about some of the situations I've been in, and you get when you're a disabled man, people don't believe, but you can end up in real sort of dangerous, sort of in peril, because they buy into this idea that sexual assault happens to women. But when you're disabled, it can happen from any angle. You know, it's not just like, it's not like men have to worry about men. You know, I've been sexually assaulted by women, and you know, because you are the balance of power can be out, can't it?
Yeah, I think that's hard. Like, obviously you guys are disabled guys, so I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think for disabled guys it's often harder than it is for disabled girls. That might be a bit controversial, but I think, like you say, the balance of that power and that strong manly man vibe is sometimes off, and I don't get that either. Like, for me, confidence is like everything, and if someone's confident, they've got like banter, and you know, you get on well, that's like the be all and end all. That's what's going to keep you together. It's not whether you can walk up a flight of stairs or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when I was out doing all my clubbing and like having too much sex, way too much sex. I wasn't disabled. I only became disabled in the last 15 years, and I've been married a long, long while. So I don't know what it's like dating.
See, there you go. There's another thing, Zec. You
disability
didn't
thing.
get married on an important date. See, that's how you know how long
It
you've been
wasn't
married.
important.
You
It was
you
my
should have married on
anniversary.
yes, but you should have got married on a year like your 40th. You see, because then you'll never forget. You won't go. It's been a long while. It'll be there etched in. But you see, that's interesting because this is the thing: is we are all so different, and I think that for people like you, Zec, that come to being disabled after you're in a relationship, there's a whole pile of stuff that comes with it that possibly we have to learn. Like those of us that, like Kelly and me, who kind of were having sex, we were disabled and then started having sex. You've got all that baggage. I mean, what was that like? Do you know what I mean? Because
well, I've said it before, haven't I? I've said before, my biggest fear was my sex life. And I can remember going in for the big knee operation that I kind of knew was going to really mess me up, and it had a chance of working, but it wasn't. And I said to my wife, right, I'm going for surgery, doggy style. It could be the last time. Doggy, gotta be. It was the last time. But it was that whole fear of, my sex life is going to be so shit. What am I going to do? And I didn't realise, and I've said it before on this show, it's way better than it ever was because it forced me to slow down. It forced us to think about things in a different way, experiment more. Because we've been together 1990, we met. So don't laugh, Kelly.
Years.
Don't laugh.
That's when I was born the year
1990. My daughter was born in 92. So things can get a little bit stale if you don't keep going. And this kind of forced us to keep, play about and try different things. And even better.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the thing that kind of we need. I've always thought you don't want to come across as bragging, but at the same time, there's so much that non-disabled people could learn about confidence and love and sex and everything from us, and it never really, because we're perceived as broken, that we don't get it. How do we get that? How do we spread the word, do you think?
Oh God!
Other than, of course, do a really sexy podcast and sell amazing sex toys that blow people's bits off.
I think you've just got to be unapologetically yourself. Like that's the time where I really came into my own. Like I said, with work more recently, but with dating and my general kind of outlook and personality and stuff is when I really started to just accept who I was and just when you're disabled, born disabled as well, you go through like school, it's hard, you go through argument. Like I used to have pretty much a monthly argument with this woman. I still remember her name now, Kim Fisher. I don't know if she's still out there, but she was like an OT, and she basically used to try and ruin my life and come to school and say it's not safe for her to do this. And I was like, hang on, I'll tell you what's safe for me to do. But that kind of argument from a young age, like I was probably 11 or 12.
Yep.
And so that really builds you up to be like a tenacious, sort of outgoing person. But then as a disabled person that I wasn't exposed to any disability apart from my own and my brother's. I had no disabled peers. I never saw another disabled person until I don't even know how old, probably till I started working in the industry I'm in now. And, people like yourself, Mik, and Emily Yates and all those fantastic, amazing people. So it was kind of like a battle within me all the time to be shy and a wallflower because you don't want anybody to kind of like notice you, to oh my God, I've got all this rage and all this hyperactivity and all this confidence, but I can't show it because then they're going to see the wheelchair. It was just weird.
It is weird because like loads of my disabled friends I've got now went to special schools, but you're like me, you didn't.
No.
And I think that it's a very different experience because you are the only one. You are Highlander. You're walking around the school and there's no one else like you. And so you soak up all their sort of sexual mythology and sexual experiences, and you have some, and it's all, but you're still the one that. I mean, I remember asking a girl out at school, and she didn't say yes, she didn't say no. She said, "How cute." And I
Oh
was like, well, what the fuck?
no.
I mean, I was very cute. I wasn't one of the cool kids, let's say that. So
I mean,
kind
it's
of,
embarrassing and cute for anyone, even an able-bodied kid. I mean,
Yeah.
my first sexual experience wasn't planned. It was very awkward, and it's, you know, we think it's just us. It's not. I was bunking off in an old pillbox, and there was an older girl than me in there. Like, you're right, having a fag. Do you want to do something to some good time? I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Wow, that's so, like, I was going to say that sounds awesome, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
when
no,
you're in your
it's
head at that age, maybe not, but
stunk of piss, and yeah, it was in there. It was not her, the pillbox.
you might have been her, you never know. Oh
yeah,
gosh.
so I've gone on record a few times as saying that I lost my virginity to a nurse in hospital, but we won't go into that because it can
I
cause problems.
forgot about
Because I
that.
was slightly the wrong side of 16. So anyway,
Oh.
so yes,
And that's how I lost my nursing job.
Yeah.
Christ's sake, please, someone ask a question, do something. I've got to try and get look at the questions I've got.
Right,
Look at the questions
I dropped off the camera, and that is
Yeah.
for a reason. And that's that product we talked about. I think people maybe think, oh, Zec's exaggerating.
Oh, here it is, the jet,
wow.
everybody. That's the jet, yeah.
Oh, right. So it's kind of like two love eggs strapped to a strap.
It's
with
like you're a
superpower.
fighter jet with bombs, but they kind of bomb in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so it's a frenulum stimulator. So it goes on like the tip, like on the bit that everyone calls the banjo string.
Yeah, right
That's
under
where
there.
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hardcore, heavy duty.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I think Kelly's job just sounds like an absolute blast. The idea
I
of going,
love it.
right, let's see how we can get this bit of technology onto this bit of a human body
Yeah,
and see what we
I
can
love
do
it.
with it.
Well, no, my job at Heart Octopus
Yours-
is that's Ad's job, and mine is
Yeah.
just to make it look pretty so people want to
Oh,
have
right.
it.
See,
Yeah.
again, that's something that we're used to as wheelchair users. We have cool tech. And
Yeah.
people are like, "Ooh, I like your chair, I like your thing," and you're like, "Yeah, well, we're going to apply that."
I mean, Hot
thinking
Octopus are
to-
great, but
Mm.
Kelly, there is still a real lack of decent, accessible sex toys out there, be it for people that have got poor mobility or grip or
Yeah.
reach or whatever. There is a real lack of, like Mick said, you know, vibrator on the stick type thing, for want of a word, you know, a universal holder for vibrators. It's still not out there.
Yeah, I think it's a big work in progress, and something that we're especially looking at more when we're developing new products now, because a lot of our products have been around for some time. Like our newer buttons and things like that are easier to press, but I still think, you know, even though we keep accessibility kind of at the forefront of our minds, there's still a long way to go, like you say, and that's something we're committed to. You know, the handy product, the bumping it's called now, that's amazing because it's a universal holder for our products fit in there. There's a lot of mainstream products that fit in there, and there's like a bigger side and a smaller side. So if you've got a bullet or like, you know, something like the Pulse that's a bit bigger, you can use it on this. It's almost like a really long body pillow, but it gives a support to the toy. Yeah, and also it could be used as a sex wedge as well, which is dual purpose. But yeah, I agree with you. You know, every toy, like our Curve, my G-spot stimulator, I use it as an external toy because you've got a bit more of length in the actual body of the toy,
and it's so super soft, isn't it? Real
Yes.
squidgy on the tip.
Oh,
it's
yes,
not like hard.
exactly.
Yeah, the
And
sex
it's
toys
so
used to be
nice,
hard
yeah.
and plastic, and for women it's horrible. This is real sort of like tactile. It's real squidgy on the tip.
It is, and obviously you can change the settings so that you get the sort of vibration that you're into as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really versatile product, and I always say that to people like me that struggle, because I struggle to sit myself up if I'm lying down, so then I struggle obviously to lean forward or anything like that. So it's a really handy product to have, no pun intended.
I feel left out now.
Oh,
You're there.
we're
I
gonna
go like,
send you
all
some
right.
stuff,
The
definitely.
things I have are a little bit out of date.
So
I must
you can
admit.
replicate this as Diane got a hammer.
Mick's going to be hammering his balls off after this.
I am knocking it. It is good if you don't go to the extremes on it.
Yeah.
Don't, whatever you do, let your wife have it when you've had a row, because you're in trouble.
Maybe I had upset her. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. You know, we'd reviewed sex toys. We've had vibrators for Donna for years and years, but nothing up until the past few years that was male sex toys.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I don't want to use that. No, it's like, why? Why I do? What's the difference?
Yeah.
And it just felt to me a little bit more perverse than a vibrator for women. But why?
Yeah.
It's this
It's
whole
so
thing
weird.
in our heads of sex.
It's like a
Well-
really there's so much stigma, especially with like cis able-bodied men using toys. It's like, I'm not broken. Why would I need a sex toy? And it's not about need, it's about want, and it's about different kinds of pleasure that you can experience. Like, my partner's bad because we have a partnership, and we work closely with a brand called Aneros, and they're like an anal prostate stimulator, and their products. Forrest was on our show and he talked all about prostate stimulation and how you can have this thing called the Super O. And I was like, Josh, you need to get this thing and have this Super O. And he's like, I'm not putting something up my bum.
No.
And I'm like, why?
No.
I don't know. You haven't lived till you've been pegged. Anyway, moving swiftly
yay.
on. Now, Simon, you've asked a question. I was listening to Jeremy Vine on Radio 2, and there's something about a claim for a universal credit that I don't quite get what you mean. But that's something that there is this push for, isn't it? That we should be able to claim for these kind of toys through some sort of support finance or benefits, just because for many people this will be an access route to sexuality.
Yeah, so we did a campaign recently, which was the personal health budget campaign that we did with Purple Goat. Shout out to Martin Sibley. Amazing. So basically, we said that we encourage people to buy sex toys on their personal health budgets, and we made the claim that if it was rejected, then we'd refund the product and they could keep the product. So, you know, it was something that we were really proud to do because we want as many people to be able to experience masturbation and self-love as possible, but we realized that products like that are expensive, and you know, some people haven't got the means to get those products. So yeah, we made that rather big claim when was it now? I can't even remember. Maybe before Christmas, we did that campaign. Yeah,
no, the only one I know about was the Give Sex the Finger campaign. That was good.
Oh yeah, that was our Digit campaign. Yeah, that was, I love that campaign. It just looks and feels really punk. I just love that. Yeah, we're really interested in running like all these kind of interesting campaigns though, and really being controversial. We see ourselves as like the rebels really when it comes to sex tech and sex toys. We're not really afraid to put our opinions out there. I mean, obviously else they wouldn't have me as head of creative.
So what's the future? Have you got any thing that you can sort of say, well, coming down the line is this, prepare?
Yeah, we do. We definitely have a few products in the works at the moment that we'll be launching this year, which is exciting. I think we have 2 maybe new products coming this year. Obviously, we're going to be at NAIDEX again. I'm going to be bringing all the BDSM stuff, hopefully, if we're allowed. Fingers crossed. NAIDEX have been super open with us, though. What else are we doing? We're currently doing a self-love sale, which is all about self-love and self-care, and we've encouraged we're calling our people that we're talking to our Hot Octopus allies, and they've just give loads of tips over on our Instagram about how they experience self-love and self-pleasure and self-care. So that's really exciting. But it's just really, I don't know, I think breaking down this stigma is huge for me, especially around guys using sex toys. That's a really big one for me. And I want to look a lot into how sex and sex toys are linked to mental health. That's huge. So I want to kind of use the brand to be able to explore these things and start these conversations that are a bit more important than just obviously selling the products. So
those chemicals that are released, when you are.
Well, you know, I've always said the problem is whether anyone likes it or not, sex is the most fun you can have. That's it. I truly believe that, and I've always said that sex is basically whatever you do with you and one other or more, it doesn't really matter, as long as everyone at the end is happy, they've all said yes, they're all happy to be there, and they're all going, wow, that was amazing, then whatever you do, it's up to you. Now, Kate is just because of course we're always talking about physical impairment, But
Yeah.
there's a huge issue around people with learning disabilities and
Yeah.
sexuality, because you've got all this kind of attitude of, oh, they're like children, and there was the model recently in the Victoria's Secrets
I
campaign,
was
and everyone
going to
completely
mention,
freaked out about that. What can we do for that community? How can we make sure that they get the right to enjoy sex and sexuality?
Yeah, that's really tricky for me, because I don't almost want to speak on it for lack of education, and that just proves how far there is to go. Like, I'm in the industry, I'm disabled, and I still don't know where to start with it, and that's actually awful. And I saw somebody make a point on Twitter. I wish I could remember who it was now, but they were talking about the campaign that you mentioned, Mick, where loads of physically disabled people tried to jump behind the campaign and support and say, I'm sexy, I'm disabled, and they were like, you can't say that. It's actually
it's funny actually,
offensive.
I joined in that debate, and I don't
Did
agree with
you?
that, because
Don't you?
I think that the idea is saying, well, like physically disabled people aren't viewed as like children, and learning disabled people are, is actually incorrect. Part of the reason why people don't view any of us as sexual is this idea that we need caring for. There's a huge imbalance around power. And yes, if you've got a learning disability, there is this massive issue that people are concerned about, that can you consent? Are you able? And all this stuff. But that's very much the same as the idea that you need to be looked after. That if I go out with that person or go to bed with that person, what will I have to do for them? It's linked. It's not the same, but I think it's really unfair to slag off everyone that tried to jump on that as a support, to say, because we do know what it's like. We just don't know exactly what it's like. I don't know what it's like to be blind, right? But I can still support my visually impaired friends. And I think that's the problem. And every now and again, we get a little bit quick to start playing the disability hierarchy thing. And, you don't know what it's like. I mean, I get it all the while. We get it all the while, because we get told, well, you're just two middle-aged white blokes, so, and you're wheelchair users, and we all know how lucky you are. So, and it's but we all face this. And what we're trying to do is come together. And then because then we can. I mean, like you said, you don't know enough about the learning disabled community. Well, now you know, Katie. Now you know there are people that you can get in touch with. Get that on board. There you go, Katie. We'll put you in touch with Kelly.
I just don't want to. I don't want to say things not from experience, because I think that's wrong.
That's fair enough.
But that's also, the key of it.
I think that there's a good point in what you said, Mick. But I think also there is that hierarchy of how people are infantilized. There's some disabilities that people do get infantilized a lot more. For example, dwarfism. There's friends of mine that have said, because they're of shorter stature, that they get compared to children a lot, and that's shocking.
I grew up in the era of Sex Dwarf by Soft Cell, where the whole sort of image around, I think it was in all the newspapers and everything, was around what they say about small boys. And it was this whole thing that dwarf men were hung like tall men, but they were, So this is it. It's all culture is not fixed. So the idea that, that's what happens to them now, is like, well, that's what happened to you. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, without being funny, some of the first disabled people to work in porn were dwarfs. Do you know what I mean? So the idea, and it troubles me when we generalize. And I think that's where it's like, I mean, like, it's funny. The other day, I was walking through Camden, and there was a guy, short stature, walking in front of me. And I could see all these people doing this, taking pictures and stuff, that they say how much it hurts. And I was like, do you know what? I've never seen that before. But then on the other hand, I've had people do that to me. Do you know what I mean? And sort of stop, and I mean, I've had people say, are you really in that? Or are you just using it because it's fashionable? Well, I spent $5,000 on a wheelchair because it looks good.
Why would it be fashionable?
But then why would you take a picture of someone? Why would you think that someone's like a child when they're an adult? I don't know. Because people are weird. I mean, the number of people that question, Lucy Dawson, the model.
Yes.
And they go,
terrible.
Why do you wear that thing on your leg? Well, because my leg don't work. Well, why?
Or you're sexy for a disabled girl. Yeah. She's like, why can't I just be sexy?
She's sexy in general. She was in our campaign, the personal health budget campaign. And I follow her on Instagram. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing again. It's like, so where does that come from? You're sexy for a disabled person.
I have no
Because
idea.
again, it's about childishness and care and not being broken, and it's all related. I really think it is, and I think that this is what I'm a big believer. We should all be working together. We should all be supporting each other to change everything. And then you go into that minutiae of experience. You know, what Katie has is something to what I have. I mean, it's different. You know, Zec and me, we're both male wheelchair users of the same age, but we are very different because I was like this when I was 15. He was married. He'd lived a life and then he lost abilities and had to cope with it in a different way. So it's really sort of difficult to know, but we all share that thing of being disabled, and I think that's the key. Now we're coming to the end, so what I'm going to do is
That's a phrase to wind it up.
Sid, we're all about to reach orgasm.
We're coming to the end.
So what are your top tips, folks, for disabled people who want to either feel better about themselves, go out and try something? What can you give them advice, Kelly?
Oh, okay. My advice is definitely explore yourself, whether that's masturbation, whether that's just, you know, wearing lipstick or working on like different ways you want to look, or, you know, trying out different personalities. A great way to do that, and if you're not comfortable, is to go online and talk to people. That's how I kind of figured out dating, figured out how to talk and how to flirt, is to do it online, and then and feel safe. You know, like people say keyboard warriors and things like that, but it's a great way to sort of sit there and really kind of think about what you want to say, play with different ideas. But also, if you are going out to meet people like I did, just make sure you're safe is the number one. Like for me, I put myself in awful situations. I was very out there, confident, met all kinds of people, all kinds of ages, and I wasn't particularly safe, to the point where I'd put myself out of my chair and I wouldn't be able to get back into my chair without assistance. But I'd have no phone, because it wasn't the sort of time where you'd have your phone attached to you like you do now. Nobody would know where I was, because I didn't used to have any PAs. I definitely wouldn't tell my parents. You know, I got up to a lot of things that I should have thought about, and I'm really lucky that they didn't end worse. So yeah, just think about what you're doing, think about your image, think about how you like to be pleasured, and explore, but do it in a safe way, in a safe environment, for sure.
So Zec, what tips have you got, other than try, you know, when you do put that jet powered one on your bits, make sure your wife likes you and you've been a good boy all day?
It is all about confidence.
Yeah.
And I mirror what Kelly said. It's all about confidence. And I know that's easy to say, and you do get more confident as you get older. Although at one stage I probably had too much confidence when I was younger.
Definitely. Me
too.
Till
I worked a nightclub when it was a hen night. I was 18, they were 26, and I barely escaped my life. I wasn't confident then, but you know, it is about confidence. But that's hard, isn't it? That's a hard thing to grasp, confidence. That's easy to say. So, like you say, it is about being happy, about knowing your own body, and trying things safely.
Yeah, definitely.
Not prostate cancer. I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Oh, come on. You've got to try.
That's your next review. That's the next sat on my butt. You can say, hello, I'm sat on my butt, and my butt's quite full at the moment. Oh, my word.
Sat on my butt.
I'm going to send you the Plex. I'm going to send you the Plex, our anal product. And that's got a remote as well, so your wife can have some real fun with that.
No, seriously, no. No, my other tip is lots of lube, and that's that's
a great tip.
I just want to say as well, folks, something to remember, right, is people appear to be more confident than they are. You look at other people and go, oh my God, I wish I knew I wish I felt like them. I used to get it all the while. It's all right for you. You're confident. I wasn't confident. I appeared to be confident. Even today, I don't feel as great as people think I am. But that's what it's about. That's how people get on. That's why some people have beautiful partners and others don't, because some can just do it, right? And it's better to try and fail than not to try. So if you go out and you know someone and you fancy them, tell them. It's much better to be told no thanks. It's much better to have someone to go, oh, how cute, than it is to spend your whole life going, if only, I wonder what would have happened.
Don't be in the friend zone. Don't be in the friend zone.
Many years ago, my wife said to me, if you try something once and you don't like it, try it again, just to be sure. And that, I think, is a mantra for all, but especially for our topic tonight. Definitely. So there you go. That was Disability and Sex. This has been DHTV. I'd like to say thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Kelly Gordon.
You. Loved it. Thank you so much.
Great. We must have you on again soon.
And yeah, definitely.
Maybe what we should do is try it where we have the toys on.
I'm not
and
trying
you have
anything.
The controller, and it's controlled over the internet. So I'm sure we can do that.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it's really Zec, that's how you get me to shut up. You just stick the anal bullet in, and you just go boo, and I'll go. It'd be great.
Which is a taser.
If we'd have ended just 1 minute earlier, this program would have ended with some real class. But now we've ruined it. A huge thank you to the wonderful Zec the Tech for making all the magic happen. And I'm Mik Scarlett, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time for more stuff and things. And with that.
We're going to end with a video, aren't we, Mik?
Oh, yes, we are. We're going to. Thank you very much.
So goodbye, everyone.
This is do you know what? One of the great things about having the floppy cock, it don't bloody matter how big it is, mate. And let's hope you don't put that in. If that comes up at the end of the credits, I'm going to kill you.